When I was researching and absorbing a huge pile of Hicks material, it took me every piece of discipline, every self-help quote, every unrealistic self-talk not to light a cigarette. And to my surprise, I don't even like smoking. I smoked once at 16, it murdered my appetite, made me defecate like I drank soap, and I still woke up feeling like trash. To top it off, Hicks wasn't even pro-drugs, he just wasn't anti-drugs.
How many non-smokers do we have here tonight? Bunch of whining little maggots.
Comedy Kings Network.
Speaking of drugs, Bill's relationship with substances was a roller coaster ride. At an early age, his work was largely emulating Woody Allen and Richard Pryor. However, it took a bottle of Jack Daniels for him to find his voice. Just as he says, your outer voice has to match your inner voice. But let's not forget the iconic comedian Mitch Hedberg, who said, you can't use alcohol as a crutch. Alcohol is less like a crutch and more like a step you didn't see. The very same bottle that made Hicks find his voice also made him lose himself, his audience and his family. He quit drinking, chopped ties with his drinking friends and moved from Texas to Los Angeles, where he gravitated to a smoking habit, which might have caused his demise since smoking increases the risk of pancreatic cancer. Believe it or not, Hicks highlighted both the bad and good side of smoking, which sparked a controversial topic that still lives to date: to smoke or not to smoke. Smoking is the most perfect addiction, said Christopher Hitchens. In contrast to most drugs, you can highly function while under the influence. Bill did most of his iconic material while smoking, though smoking nicotine, a chemical found in tobacco, is found to be more dangerous than alcohol, fentanyl, and crack cocaine. Some highly effective people smoked during their peak, including Dave Chappelle, Jennifer Austin, and Barack Obama. Bill said that maybe when you get to heaven, you're past the lighter and the cigarette, and hell is where you're not allowed to smoke. Though smoking eats you really slowly, it does eat you really good, and you realize it when it's too late. Hicks said that his worst fear is appearing on stage, breathing through a hole in his neck and saying, I'm Bill Hicks and I used to smoke. Speaking of smoking, if you want to be a comedian, there's a time where you have to be smoked. You have to face the mother of all embarrassment, and the name summarizes it all: bombing. You prepare your well thought out material, you practice again and again, and when you perform, the audience looks at you like, just as Bill Hicks would say, like a dog that just saw a card trick. If it gives you any peace of mind, even the world's best comedians bomb. Comedian Bill Burr said that he still bombs, but aces himself by his past record. Jerry Seinfeld told a story on The Tonight Show about when he bombed on stage, and Joe Rogan said that he has witnessed Chris Rock bomb even at his prime. Speaking of Joe Rogan, he details a story where he witnessed Bill bomb atomically. Hicks did a long shitting bit where he squatted and growled, not for seconds but for minutes, and when everybody started to uncomfortably leave, he looked at the few people left in the audience and, genuinely not giving a fuck, he said, yeah, this generally clears the room. Meanwhile, at the back, Joe Rogan and his friend are laughing their asses off. Comedian Sam Morris said that Hicks had the audacity to release material where he was bombing and calling the audience stupid. But what separated Hicks from an idiot yelling on stage was the fact that he was an exceptional comedian at the time. Speaking of comedians suffering, touring is one that every comedian can testify its brutality. In contrast to the vast majority of comedians who say the road is hell, Hicks had a different approach to it. He said initially he thought that it was miserable, but in a Houston of event he realized that he only worked for an hour, got paid a lot of money, and said what he wanted while the audience listened and laughed simultaneously. It's a hell of a good life. Speaking of a good life, we all have sang it. America, land of the free, and yeah, we were all right. Just as Bill Hicks said it, free to do what we tell you to do. I know this smells of Gorge Carlin. As he once said, it takes a low IQ population to take this utopia piece of land and change it into a big shopping mall. It's baffling that you never hear of Gorge Carlin and Bill Hick in the same sentence, but it doesn't take the keenest sight to see that they were almost identical. Moreover, they rarely spoke of each other, though they operated at the same time. This might seem to contradict the above, but Hicks and Carlin were not the same. Oh, the skeleton was most definitely the same, but the material couldn't be any more different. The name Gorge Carlin goes hand to hand with the word censorship, which brings us to Hicks' censorship story. Like a man looking at an elephant up close, to get the full picture of Hicks' story, you have to move back and see the whole beast. First and foremost, Hicks approached Tonight Show host Jay Leno about performing his what will be last segment on the Tonight Show. Jay Leno said on Opie Radio, he met Hicks when he was young as 15 and they connected quite well. Shit hit the fan when Hicks wanted to perform his deemed inappropriate Jesus routine on Jay Leno's show. Jay Leno said that he told Hicks that the network would cut it, and it wasn't him who's against it. Furthermore, he emphasized that it will also be chopped on the late night show with David Letterman. On Friday, the 9th of October, Hicks performed his last act on Letterman. He was proud of it, as he told his friend after it was taped. On Monday, the 12th of October, Hicks anxiously waited for his act to be aired. But instead, the only thing that came from the air was an email from the network saying that his material was unsuitable for the viewing public and Letterman audience, which is hypocrisy since the network has commercials of half-naked women selling beer 24/7, Hicks pointed out. Moreover, his performance included a joke relating to pro-choice, which the network deemed a hot take. Ironically, an advert about pro-choice aired during the show the very same Monday. Freedom of speech is guaranteed if you got the money, Bill claims. Letterman aired the performance after a whopping 25 years, apologizing to Hicks' mother and claiming that it was him who removed the beat. Hicks poked holes on the whole American dream, assaulting the concept of America being a good Samaritan in its occupation of other countries. It's not about freedom, it's about money. He even spoke about the toxic nature of American advertisement and the double standards of Western media. Who could ever forget Hicks' positive dark story comedy beat, which he claims that you will never hear the following on the news. Today, a young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy, condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness, experiencing itself subjectively. There is nothing such as death, life is only a dream, and we are merely the imaginations of ourselves. Here is Tom with the weather.
This is going to come as a real shock to America, in spite of all the anti-drug commercials that we see all day. You ready? Beer's a drug. So, I know it's shocking. Wait a minute. Beer? Stop. You know, it's just ironic to see anti-drug commercials followed by this Buds for You.
Dangerfield, the legendary comedian and star maker, saw Hicks' uniqueness and invited him to come perform at his comedy club, where he introduced him by a joke emphasizing that he was way ahead of his time, that his parents haven't met yet. Hicks' influence was astronomical to the point where in the comedy club The Punchline, it was written, "Quit trying to be Bill Hicks." Stand-up comedian Ron White said that, though Hicks wasn't the best of all time, he surely influenced him more than anyone else. At the age of 32, Hicks passed due to pancreatic cancer. One of the most profound questions we ask ourselves is what we will do if we knew we were gonna die. Hicks answered this not by words, but with action. He moved back into his mother's house and kept creating and performing his art. It was at this time that he performed his controversial Letterman segment. When comedian Mitch Hedberg was asked if he would follow the same path if he knew he was gonna die, Hedberg said that Hicks had a message to pass on. That's why he was so relentless with his work, whereas he tells banana jokes.